How hard is it to make a sandwich? Publicly a sandwich. My dog learns faster than you.
That's what a CEO, a real, actual CEO, said to a black waitress, out loud, in a packed diner in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lunch rush. He snapped his fingers, twice, like calling a pet.
Sourdough. 4 syllables. Too many for you? You need me to spell it?
She looked at him, calm.
Sir, I wrote your order correctly. The kitchen made the error.
Fix it. Wonderful. Can you also fix your IQ while you're back there?
30 people heard every word. Not one stood up. Not one said a thing. But he didn't know. The quiet old woman in the corner booth had been watching every second. And what she did next? It cost him everything. But before we get to that satisfying moment, and trust me, it's coming, you need to understand who this waitress really is. Because what she did next? It only makes sense when you know what she was carrying. Her name is Yvette Taylor, 29 years old, single mom. 1 daughter, Nadia, 6 years old, obsessed with drawing and pancakes. Every single morning, Yvette's alarm goes off at 4:45. Not 5, not 5:15, 4:45. While the rest of Charlotte is still asleep, she's already up, moving through the dark. Quiet. Careful, because Nadia is still curled up on the other side of the bed, and if that little girl wakes up before 6, getting her back to sleep is a whole mission. Their apartment is small. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. The kind of place where the kitchen is also the living room, and the living room is also the study. But it's clean. Spotless, actually. Yvette keeps it that way because it's the one thing she can control. There's a folding table pushed against the wall. On it, a laptop with a cracked screen, a stack of printed coursework, and a highlighter with the cap chewed off. Yvette is 18 credits away from finishing her business degree online. 18 credits. She studies after Nadia falls asleep, usually between 10 p.m. and midnight, sometimes later. Sometimes she falls asleep at that table with the highlighter still in her hand. On the fridge, held up by a magnet shaped like a cupcake, there's a drawing Nadia made. 2 stick figures holding hands, 1 tall, 1 small. Underneath, in wobbly crayon letters, me and Mama. Next to it, a torn piece of notebook paper. Yvette's handwriting, a list, menu ideas, cost breakdowns, a name circled twice in red ink. Nadia's table. That's her dream. A small cafe, nothing fancy, a place where people feel at home. Good food, warm coffee, a seat for anyone who needs one. She's been building it in her head for 3 years. Every slow shift at the diner, she adds a detail. What the chairs would look like, what she'd put on the kids' menu, how the light would come through the front window in the morning. But right now, at 4:45 a.m., that dream feels very far away. She checks her phone. A notification from her school portal. Tuition payment reminder, $1,200 due in 9 days. She has $340 in her checking account. She closes the notification, doesn't even sigh. She's done this math before. She always figures it out. She just doesn't know how yet. She irons her uniform on a towel spread across the kitchen counter. The ironing board broke 2 months ago. She can't afford a new one. The towel works fine. At 5:30, she carries Nadia, still half asleep, wrapped in a blanket, across the hall to Janine Cole's apartment. Janine is her neighbor, her best friend, the person who holds her life together on days when the tape comes loose. Janine opens the door in a bathrobe, takes Nadia gently, doesn't ask questions she already knows the answers to. Double shift again? Yvette nods. Janine squeezes her hand. That's it. No lecture, no pity, just, I see you, I got you. Nadia stirs, eyes barely open. Mama, bring me pancakes? Yvette kisses her forehead. I'll try, baby. She walks to the bus stop. It's still dark out. The streetlights buzz that orange hum. She passes the laundromat, the corner store, the little church on Elm Street. There's a sign out front, one of those marquee boards with the plastic letters. It reads, Kindness costs nothing but means everything. She reads it every morning. Most days she walks right past. But today, something about today, she stops, reads it again, stands there for a second longer than usual. Then the bus comes, and she gets on. Rosie's Griddle. That's the diner. It's been around for 22 years, breakfast and lunch only. Famous for biscuits and bottomless coffee. The kind of place where regulars don't need menus and the cook knows your name. Dale Perkins owns it. 58. Big guy, rough hands, voice like gravel. Looks mean. Isn't. He hired Yvette 4 years ago when nobody else would because she had a gap on her resume. The 2 years she took off when Nadia was born. Table 6 is asking for you, Dale says when she walks in. Mrs. Henderson wants her eggs the way only you do 'em. Yvette ties her apron, grabs her notepad, starts her rounds. And this is the thing about Yvette. She remembers everyone. Table 6, Mrs. Henderson, scrambled soft with chives. Table 2, Gerald, black coffee, no sugar, extra napkins because he always spills. Table 9, the college kid who comes in every Thursday and only orders toast because that's all she can afford. Yvette always sneaks a side of bacon onto her plate. Doesn't charge her. She doesn't do it for tips. She does it because that's who she is. In the break room, before the rush, she sits for 60 seconds, takes her shoes off. The sole on the left one is splitting open. She pulls a strip of tape from the first aid kit and wraps it around the toe. A coworker notices. Girl, let me give you 20 bucks, get some new ones. Yvette shakes her head, smiles. I'm all right. Payday's Friday. She puts her shoes back on, tucks her notebook, the one with Nadia's table circled in red, into her apron pocket, and walks back out to serve people. What she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that in about 3 hours, 2 people were going to walk through that door. One would try to break her. The other would change her life forever. Now, here's where the day turns, because up until this point, it was just another Tuesday. Yvette had no idea that in the next 40 minutes, she'd meet 2 people who would change her life, one by tearing her down and one by lifting her up. The lunch rush hit hard. Every booth packed, every table turning. The kitchen was backed up, orders stacking, the bell dinging non-stop. And Yvette was covering extra tables because Megan, the other waitress on shift, called in sick 20 minutes before noon. So now it's just Yvette, alone on the floor, 14 tables, 1 pair of taped-up shoes. Dale was behind the grill, sweating, barking orders at the line cook. Pick it up, pick it up! Table 4's been waiting 11 minutes! Yvette moved fast. Refill on table 2. Drop the check on table 7. Clear table 12. Smile. Keep moving. Don't stop. Then the door opened. A black SUV had pulled up outside. The kind with tinted windows and a driver who stays in the car. The kind you don't usually see parked outside Rosie's Griddle. Charles Whitmore walked in. 61 years old. Silver hair, clean shave, navy suit that cost more than Yvette's rent for 3 months. Bluetooth earpiece in. Phone conversation still going. Voice loud enough that half the diner could hear him talking about quarterly projections and the meridian closing. He didn't wait to be seated. Didn't look at the sign that said, "Please wait to be seated." Just walked straight to a booth, sat down, and snapped his fingers in the air without looking up. Coffee, black, now. Yvette was mid-conversation with Mrs. Henderson. She excused herself, grabbed the coffee pot, walked over. Good afternoon, sir. Here's your coffee. Can I get you a menu, or do you know what you'd... Club sandwich, sourdough, no tomato, extra mustard, fast. He didn't look at her. Not once. She wrote it down. Every word. Sourdough, no tomato, extra mustard. She underlined sourdough twice. She always double-checked the details. Got it. I'll have that right out for you. Nothing. He was back on his phone. Now, right here, I need you to notice something. On the seat beside him, there was a leather portfolio, dark brown, expensive, and on the front, embossed in gold, W&G Holdings. Remember that, it matters later. Yvette walked the order to the kitchen, called it in clearly, moved on to the next table. And then, about 2 minutes later, the front door opened again. Quietly this time. An elderly woman stepped in, 74 maybe, white hair pinned back, wearing a beige cardigan, the kind your grandmother wears to church. Simple slacks, comfortable shoes, no makeup, no jewelry except a thin gold chain tucked inside her collar. You wouldn't look at her twice. She took the corner booth, the one by the window half hidden behind the coat rack. Yvette came over. "Hi there, ma'am. Welcome to Rosie's. What can I get you?" The woman smiled, warm, unhurried. "Just tea and toast, please. And take your time, sweetheart. I can see you're busy." Yvette felt something ease in her chest. After Charles Whitmore's finger snapping, this woman felt like a glass of cold water. "Coming right up." As she turned to leave, the woman said, "Yvette, that's a beautiful name." Yvette looked back, surprised. She'd forgotten she was wearing her name tag. "Thank you, ma'am. My grandmother picked it." She had good taste. Small moment, nothing dramatic, but something passed between them. The kind of recognition that doesn't need explanation. Now, here's what Yvette didn't see. When the old woman first sat down before Yvette came over, she glanced across the room at Charles Whitmore. Just for a second. And her expression changed. Not surprise, not anger, something quieter. Recognition. She knew exactly who he was. She angled her body slightly away from him, pulled her cardigan a little tighter. She didn't want to be seen. Not yet. And Yvette had no idea, no possible way of knowing, that these two people sitting in her section were connected. That the old woman in the cardigan and the man in the navy suit shared a last name on a company letterhead. That the quiet little lady ordering tea and toast held more power than anyone in this room. But that reveal is coming. And when it lands, trust me, it changes everything. For now, though, the kitchen bell dinged. Charles Whitmore's sandwich was up. And this is where it all falls apart. The plate came out from the kitchen. Club sandwich, extra mustard, no tomato, rye bread, not sourdough, rye. Yvette didn't make the sandwich. She wrote the order correctly. She always does. But the kitchen was slammed, the line cook was drowning, and somewhere between the ticket and the plate, sourdough became rye. She didn't even know yet. She picked up the plate, walked it over to booth 4, set it down with a smile. "Here you go, sir. Club sandwich, extra mustard, no tomato." He took one bite. And that's when everything exploded. What happened next? I've told a lot of stories on this channel, a lot. But this one? This is the one that made me pause. Charles Whitmore slammed the sandwich down so hard the plate cracked against the table. Coffee jumped out of his cup. The whole diner flinched. "What the hell is this?" Yvette turned around. "Sir?" "I said sourdough. This is rye. Are you deaf?" "I'm sorry, sir. Let me check the ticket. I'm sure I wrote—" "I don't care what you wrote. I care what's on my plate. And what's on my plate is wrong. Again. Because apparently basic instructions are too much for you." He stood up, full height, 6'1", looking down at her, voice getting louder with every word. "You know what your problem is? You don't listen. I said it clear. I said it slow. Sourdough. And you still couldn't get it right. What? Do I need to come back there and make it myself?" The diner was frozen. Every table, every booth. Forks down. Conversations dead. A kid in a high chair stared with wide eyes. His mother put her hand over his. Yvette's hands trembled. Just slightly, just enough that only she could feel it. But her voice didn't shake. Not once. "Sir, I apologize. I did write sourdough on the ticket. The kitchen made the error, and I take full responsibility. I'll have a new one out in 4 minutes." 4 minutes? I've already wasted 20 minutes in this dump. He looked around the room, playing to the audience, the way bullies do when they want witnesses. This is what you get at a place like this. This is what happens when people can't do the one job they have. He leaned in, lowered his voice, but not enough. Everyone still heard. "You're stupid. Just say it. Admit it. Say I'm stupid, and maybe I'll let you bring me the right sandwich." Dead silence. Yvette looked at him, right in his eyes. She didn't blink, didn't look away, didn't cry. Her jaw tightened for half a second, the only sign that those words landed where he aimed them. But she didn't say it. Dale Perkins came around the counter, towel over his shoulder, face red. "Sir, that's enough. I'm the owner. The meal is comped. I'm going to have to ask you to—" Yvette put her hand up gently. "Dale, it's okay. I got this." Dale stopped, looked at her like she was crazy, but he stepped back, because he trusted her. Because in 4 years, she'd never once lost her composure. Yvette turned back to Charles, and what she said next, this is the part that broke me. "Sir, you're right that the order came out wrong, and I'm sorry for that. Your meal is on me today. I'll pay for it out of my tips." Charles blinked. "Everyone has bad days. I don't know what yours looks like, but I hope the rest of it is better than this moment right here." She said it with zero sarcasm, zero anger. She meant it, every word. Then she picked up his plate, turned around, and walked to the kitchen. Charles sat down, slowly. The room exhaled, but nobody spoke. He pulled out his phone, scrolled, jaw tight. He didn't look up. And that should have been the end of it. Bad customer, gracious waitress, move on. Story over. But it wasn't over. Not even close. Because 2 minutes later, something happened in that corner booth. Eleanor, the old woman with the tea and toast, started coughing. Quiet at first, the kind of cough you wave away with your hand. Then harder, deeper, her whole body shaking with it. She reached for her tea. Her hand was trembling so badly she knocked the cup sideways. Tea spilled across the table, dripped onto the floor. She pressed her hand against her chest. Her breathing went thin, shallow. Her face lost color, fast. That warm pink faded to gray in seconds. Nobody noticed. The diner was still buzzing from the Charles scene. People were whispering to each other, shaking their heads, looking at their phones. Nobody noticed except Yvette. She was coming out of the kitchen with Charles's new sandwich. Sourdough this time, perfect. And she saw Eleanor. The trembling hand, the spilled tea, the color draining. She didn't hesitate, not for a single second. She set Charles's plate on the nearest table, not even his table, just the closest surface, and moved straight to Eleanor. Ma'am, are you okay? Look at me." Eleanor's eyes were glassy. She gripped the edge of the table. Her voice came out in a whisper. "My medication, in my purse, the blue bottle." Yvette grabbed the purse. Hands steady now, the same hands that trembled in front of Charles were rock solid. She found the bottle, opened it, shook one pill into her palm. "Slow breaths, okay? In through your nose, out through your mouth. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." Eleanor's breathing was ragged. Her fingers were cold, but she held on to Yvette like an anchor. Dale called 911 from behind the counter. A few customers stood up, craning their necks, but Yvette didn't move, didn't look around for help, didn't panic. She stayed. For 10 minutes, she knelt on that floor, talking softly, rubbing Eleanor's hand, counting breaths with her. "That's good, ma'am. Another one. You're doing great. You're okay." Slowly, the color came back. Eleanor's breathing steadied, her grip loosened. She blinked, focused, looked at Yvette like she was seeing her for the first time. "Thank you, sweetheart." Her voice was barely there. "You didn't have to do that." Yvette smiled. "Yes, I did." That's all she said. 3 words, and she meant every single one. The paramedics arrived, checked Eleanor's vitals. She was stable. She declined transport. Stubborn, the way 74-year-old women are. "I'm fine, I just need a minute." Now, during all of this, Charles Whitmore was watching. He watched from his booth, silent. He watched the woman he'd screamed at, the one he called stupid, the one he tried to break, drop everything and save a stranger. He watched her kneel on a dirty floor and hold an old woman's hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. And when Yvette finally came back to check on him, his new sandwich sitting cold on the wrong table, she picked it up and brought it to him. "I'm sorry for the wait, sir. I can remake this if it's cold." He waved his hand. "It's fine." His voice was quiet now, almost small. He left cash on the table, exact amount, no tip, and walked out without saying another word. No apology, no thank you, nothing. He just left. Charles Whitmore drove away in his black SUV thinking that was the last time he'd ever see that diner. The last time he'd ever think about that waitress. Just another Tuesday. Just another nobody. He was wrong. And Yvette? She had no idea that the quiet old woman she'd just held on a dirty floor wasn't just some grandmother out for tea. Not even close. After the paramedics left, Eleanor sat in her booth for a while. Quiet, hands folded, watching Yvette move through the diner like nothing had happened, refilling coffees, clearing plates, smiling at customers like she hadn't just been humiliated in front of all of them 20 minutes ago. Eleanor called her over. "Sweetheart, sit with me for a second." "Oh, ma'am, I can't. I've got tables and—" "Just 30 seconds, please." Yvette sat, just on the edge of the booth, ready to jump up the second Dale needed her. Eleanor reached into her purse and pulled out a $100 bill, slid it across the table. "For what you did, please take it." Yvette shook her head, gently, not performatively, genuinely. "Ma'am, I can't accept that. You needed help, that's all that was. You paid for that man's meal out of your own tips. At least let me cover that." "It's okay, really. I've had worse days. He probably has too." Eleanor studied her. Not the way customers usually look at waitresses. Past them, through them. Eleanor looked at her the way you look at someone you're trying to understand, trying to measure. "That notebook in your apron," Eleanor said. "The one poking out. Earlier you told me you were dreaming on paper. What's the dream?" Yvette hesitated. She didn't talk about this with customers. Didn't talk about it with most people, actually. Dreams feel embarrassing when you're wearing taped-up shoes. But something about Eleanor's face, the patience in it, the stillness, made her answer. "A cafe, small, nothing crazy. A place where people feel like they belong. Good food, fair prices. I want to name it after my daughter." "What's her name?" "Nadia." "Nadia's table," Eleanor said. Not a question, like she was tasting the words. "Yeah," Yvette smiled. "A real one. The first real one all day." "Nadia's table." Eleanor leaned forward. "Have you written a business plan?" Yvette blinked. Nobody had ever asked her that before. People usually said, "That's nice," or "Good luck with that." Nobody asked about a business plan. "I mean, kind of. I've got numbers, cost breakdowns, menu ideas. It's not official or anything, it's just—" "It's a start," Eleanor said. "That's more than most people ever do." She reached into her purse again. This time she pulled out a small leather card case. Old, worn soft at the edges. She took out one card and slid it across the table, face down. "If you ever want to talk more about that dream, seriously talk about it, you call this number." Yvette took the card, slipped it into her apron pocket without looking at it. The lunch rush was still going. Table 9 needed a refill. Table 3's check was overdue. She didn't have time to read business cards. "Thank you, ma'am. I really hope you feel better." Eleanor smiled. "I already do." A moment later, a man appeared at the front door. Dark suit, professional. He held the door open for Eleanor and walked her to a black town car parked half a block down the street. Not a taxi, not an Uber, a town car, with a driver. Yvette noticed, but only barely. She was already back at table 9 with the coffee pot. That night, after her double shift, Yvette picked up Nadia from Janine's, made mac and cheese, helped Nadia finish a coloring page, a purple horse with wings, read her a bedtime story, waited until she fell asleep. Then she did laundry. And when she pulled her apron out of the pile, something fell onto the floor. The business card. She picked it up, flipped it over.